So hi Christina, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself?
My name is Cristina. I'm the mortgage advisor for Ideal Homes Portugal. I've been working for the company for 6 years, and we also work with all the major banks in Portugal.
Okay, so what would a client need to do to start with to be able to start the process of a mortgage, say on a property like this?
We send you over a mortgage pack, which has all the information on all the documentation that you need. And we also pre-qualify you. So what that is, it's an inquiry form, which asks you all your personal details, your age, income, and obviously expenses. And we pre-qualify you on that. So if you've got, for example, this great property, if you know the purchase price, we'll be able to say, yes, the bank will finance so much. If you're not sure on what budget you should be looking at from the information based on the inquiry form, we're able to let you know your affordability and send you a simulation.
Which is always a good idea to get a pre-approval before you start looking, really, because you might think that you can only afford so much, or you might think you can afford more than you can. So if you get that, at least when we start looking for the properties for you, we're not looking at something that's out of the range, which would make the process a lot longer. So what age group would you need to be able to get a mortgage?
We have one bank that finances 80% up to the age of 80 years old, and the other banks finance 70% up to the age of 75 years old. So the banks, the way the banks work it out is they'll always go from the oldest candidate. So if you're 60 years old, for example, you can take a mortgage for 20 years.
And what length of time is the most you can take that out? If I was 18, for instance?
Maximum of 40 years.
Okay, and 18 is the minimum age, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Okay, and what are the rates like at the moment?
At the moment, it's around 1.1, 1.2%.
It's very good, and that doesn't really change. That's been there for a long time, hasn't it? And there's no look of future change in that.
Yeah, no. No, not at all. At the moment, on a variable rate, like I say, it's around 1.1, 1.2%. You've also got the fixed rate, which the longer you fix the term for, the higher the rate is. So 5 years is around 1.7%.
Okay. And what Cristina will do is look at your circumstances and actually what your future plans are, and she will advise you on what mortgage to take. For instance, I recently had a mortgage with the intention of, I was selling a house at the time, so I wanted a mortgage to get the house I wanted, and then I was going to pay some of that mortgage off very shortly down the line. And so I got a variable rate because it only cost me 0.5% to actually pay off some of the money, so which is really low. They're not big penalties, and so Cristina would also look at that and say, well, if you're not intending to pay anything off it, and you want it for a long time, and it's an investment, you might go for a more of a fixed rate rather than a variable. And so you will get free advice. And Cristina's service to you when you buy your property with Ideal Homes is a free service. And it is very helpful to you because basically Cristina does all the work.
But just to go back on that, Angela, by law in Portugal, there's an early repayment penalty fee, which is 0.5%. So as an example, for every 10,000 euros you pay off, the bank will charge you 50 euros. If it's on a fixed rate, the fee is 2%.
Yeah, so like when I paid quite a chunk off it, it didn't affect me. It didn't really cost me any money as such. It was worth doing. So Cristina, can you just explain the process from start to actually purchasing the property?
So once you've got a purchase price in mind, or you've been pre-qualified and we've received the pre-approval, we ask for your documentation, which is the normal 6 months bank statements, pay slips, a credit report. One of the requirements is a Portuguese tax number, which a lawyer can get for you. Once we receive all the documentation, we send it to all the banks we work with. Once we get the approval, the next step is opening up the bank account. So the bank will do that for you, and the first fee, which is for the evaluation fee, which is €239.20. The bank will contract an independent evaluator to evaluate the property. Once we receive the reports, it also depends on which bank you decide to go with. The bank that finances 80% up to the age of 80 years old, they require life insurance. So if you've already got life insurance in place, we can always send the policy through to the bank. As long as your insurance company will add the bank on as a beneficiary. life insurance is mandatory. The other banks that finance 70%, life insurance is not mandatory. But at this point, if we do need to do the life insurance, we've already got everything in place. Once we receive the evaluation report, the bank issue the final offer letter. From there, there's a 7-day reflection period, and then we book the deed.
Okay, quite simple.
It's very simple. Once I've got your documentation, I'll do the rest.
And a very often asked question is, can people take rental income into consideration when applying for the mortgage?
Rental income in where you live or where your tax returns are, if it's on your tax returns, yes. But if in Portugal, the bank won't look at the purchase as that's your future plan, you're looking at renting it at the moment. But if you'd like to buy a second property, as long as it's declared and everything is on your tax returns, you can.
Thank you, Cristina. Well, if anybody would like more information or you would like to speak to Cristina one-to-one, and obviously finance is always a personal thing, so it's sometimes better to speak to someone individually. All the details will be there for you on the webinar, so you'll be able to contact Cristina directly or contact one of those consultants that can help you with the properties, and then later down the line introduce you to Cristina. Thank you. Thank you,
Let me
Cristina.
also just say something. From the inquiry form and pre-qualifying, even if you think your situation is a little bit different, if you send us all the information, we'll be able to work out a way for you. There's always a way. For example, if you've got, because the way the banks work it out is based on your income and your expenses, so expenses being loans, any credit cards or existing mortgages, car loans, any loans that you've got, including the finance in Portugal, cannot exceed 35% of your income. So even if your situation is a bit more difficult or different, we'll be able to guide you in the right direction. You might not be able to purchase right now, but then in 3 months we've got 3 months to work it out for you.
So you kind of you can change the circumstances of what the situation is at the moment and advise on how to make it so they can get a mortgage. Okay. Thank you, Cristina.